hot hatches has always been kind of my thing. I've always had a thing for them. But with hot hatches, there's so much varieties that you can choose from. You can go with the Hondas, you can go with the VWs and everything. Well, as much as I love hot hatches, the idea of a front-wheel drive manual is the key idea of a hot hatch. But when Audi brought out the RS3, now that is something a little bit different. And to be honest, it has always intrigued me since they launched it. Now, if you realize, the recipe of the RS3 is pretty much the same original recipe with the Audi Quattro back in the day, the 80s Group B rally car. And with the RS3, they put that in a hatchback. 400 horsepower, all-wheel drive, dual clutch transmission in a hatchback. That's kind of absurd. And you know what? Let me just show you the best thing about the RS3. Shan, pinjam kunci sekejap. And that very thing is the sound. That's what I meant by the sound. That is exactly why this car is so addictive. It's like a Lambo. So to most people, this looks like an ordinary hatchback. It doesn't look that insane, doesn't look that crazy. You know, even when you compare it to the latest Mark 8 Golf GTI, the Golf GTI looks so futuristic. This looks like it was designed by engineers. It's very business-like. There's nothing that screams, look at me. This is a 2.5 litre 5-cylinder Audi engine. This engine was specifically made for two cars. It's either this, the RS3, or the TTRS. And I think most people will go with the TTRS because it does look a bit more sportier and such. And this looks rather understated. Well, the 400 horsepower engine is mated to a 6-speed DCT. It's so powerful from the factory, and with a bit of mods, you can get it to like 500-600 horsepower easily. Even this car, this particular car, is running about 502 wheel horsepower and about 663 Newton meters of torque. There are quite a few mods in here. I wouldn't say like a lot, but it really is enough to be quick around Sepang. And this car was driven by Amir Haris a few days ago, and if you see our recent YouTube videos, he did about 224 if I'm not mistaken in this car, and that was in the wet. Now what I particularly love about the RS3 is that it's the right size. So before I got the keys from Seshan, I've never actually driven this car. I've never been in it, in fact. I've seen it for a while, and I've always been intrigued by it ever since. First impressions with me, in terms of a car, it really plays a big role. And not only that, this is a very livable car. It sounds like a supercar, it looks rather good, it's kind of boxy, I kind of like those things. I wouldn't call this highly modded, it's not highly modified, but it's modified enough for you to know that this thing is quick. That 502 wheel horsepower with 663 Newton meters of torque can really do the talking. Oh, this car grips so well. That Quattro. And I heard that the car is actually set up to be a little bit more oversteery rather than under. But I am not going to find that out. Hot hatches are usually meant to be front-wheel drive. They're meant to be 6-speed manuals. But when you think about it, with these kind of tires, with this kind of speed, do you really need a 6-speed manual? Do you really need a manual gearbox? I don't think so. I think a dual clutch transmission like this and sticky tires, and this is considering to be on stock suspension still, only with adjustable springs. So considering that the car is still relatively stock, it only has an STM intercooler, it has Inventuri intake and inlet. It also has a turbo downpipe and mid-pipe as well. So everything else is pretty much stock. Bigger injectors, bigger throttle body. It's more of supporting mods rather than actual mods on the car itself. The car does in fact have a tune. This is a VTE Stage 2 tune. You got a TVS Stage 3 gearbox map. And with all of that combined, you do get about 503 horsepower on a wheel, by the way, with about 663 Newton meters of torque. Not only does the car have bigger injectors, but it also has Snow Performance Stage 2 methanol. So in terms of handling, the car is still pretty much stock. It has stock absorbers. It does have MSS adjustable springs, however. 034 billet top mount. It also has a CTS billet subframe bushing. With the brakes, mind you, they are still stock, but these are 6 spots. It also has endless CCRGs on, so the car does brake very well. It's really cool to see that a Euro like this, the RS3, has a Volt TE37 SL in fact. So that's kind of cool as well. We do love to see Euros having a bit of that JDM taste. While everything about the handling has been minorly tweaked, it's not really stock, but it's slightly tweaked. These seats, these Recaro RSGs, these are lovely, especially when driving roads like this and you're really giving it all out. It hugs you, and you really want that. Now, overall, with everything in the car, everything done to the car, well, while it's not that much, I wouldn't say this is like the best handling of hot hatches, because I might still prefer the other ones as well, but this is a really lovely package. And considering that, you know, this is 500 horsepower in a hot hatch, that's insane. That's supercar numbers. And I completely understand why people say this is like a baby Lambo. Is it a supercar killer? With the right amount of money and the right amount of mods, you can get this car up to about 1000 horsepower quite easily. Dump about 200,000 to the engine, 1000 horsepower, that's it. And you're talking like sub 10-second car here. But as a whole package, is the Audi RS3 a great hot hatch? It feels very technical, it feels very German, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. German cars are awesome. I love Porsches, I love Mercedes, BMWs and everything. But Germans don't really know what's the definition of fun. They will go like, oh fun, oh yeah, what is that? Germans don't know what fun is. So whenever you give a German a car like this, they'll just make it powerful, they'll make it everything great about it. Everything in the materials are all good, but it lacks a bit of soul. Apart from the sound is what gives it the soul. But take away that sound, you really just have another hot hatch. So the Audi RS3. Come to think about it, 500,000 ringgit. That's a lot of money. Would you get this? Would you get an A45S? Or would you get an M2? An M2 is a bit more characterful, rear-wheel drive. But I think the Audi just seals the deal with that 5-cylinder engine. And for that sound alone, I wouldn't mind if I had 500k lying around. But then again, the M2 is a really good proposition. Rear-wheel drive, BMW. But the sound though.